Welcome back to River's Edge Cutlery, everyone. My name is Anthony, and I'm super excited to have you all back on this series that we're doing all about day packs. In the first video, we broke down the IBEX-26 here from Vanquest. Super excited about that video. If you missed that, make sure you go back and check it out after this video. But today, we are putting this backpack to some good use. I'm getting ready to hike in and do a little bit of fishing in one of my favorite spots, and I wanted to bring you guys along with me. So I'm gonna go ahead throughout this video, and I'm gonna break down everything that I carry in a day kit, as well as you're gonna see that this helps out a lot with an overnight kit. So if you're curious about how to build both, then you're in luck. This video is gonna take care of that. So let's go ahead, let's dive in. So the first category in any outdoor kit that I put together is tools and safety. And that's just kind of the category that I rope a lot of things together in. And we'll go through all of those. But to start out, safety starts before you end up out here. So before you leave, especially if you're going out by yourself, let a loved one know, or someone that you trust, write it down, where you're gonna be, how long you're gonna be there, and when you plan on being back. And if you're gonna be out with some other people, make sure you list their emergency contacts as well. Next up is dress appropriately for where you're gonna be, what you're gonna be doing, and what the weather is gonna be like. So out here right now, I'm out here fishing, and it's a pretty warm day, so I've just got a fishing shirt on, and that's gonna cover me for the full day. And if I did have to spend the night out here, I'm not gonna die in this. It may get a little bit chilly tonight, but it's gonna be just fine. And then that leads us into the actual kit right here. Now, sometimes when you're out here, something bad does happen, and that's unfortunate, but what's more unfortunate is if you're not prepared for it. So on the outside, I have one of these Vanquest tourniquet holders, and in here, I keep a cat tourniquet. That is my preferred tourniquet. And this one, as you can tell, I could throw this thing all the way back there, and you could likely see it because it is that bright. And that's what I want, because as you can tell, I'm dressed in very dark, kind of drab colors, and if I put this on and for some reason I pass out, I want this to be very, very visible. So I keep that right there along with some trauma shears, and that covers the trauma related first aid. And then this kind of goes into your own training and what you prefer. I do have a little first aid kit that is tailored to my needs, and I've got everything from like stuff to take care of boo-boos to pain and allergies and things like that in it. But go ahead and get some first aid training of your own, know how to use a tourniquet for sure, and then also tailor a little bit of a boo-boo kit to your needs as well. That kind of continues on with our theme of safety. And don't worry, I know this is a knife channel, we will get to knives. But next up is a headlamp. And this one right here is from Olight, and this one has all sorts of white light modes. But my favorite and kind of a personal requirement that I have of any headlamp is this one right here has a red light mode. So if I'm walking back out on the trail, which is, you know, a mile and a half-ish, then I know that I've got red light. And that helps me a whole lot at night because I don't want a big bright light shining at night. This could be the same thing with hunting season. I do not want white light. So I really like the Olight, and this one right here, it can be worn as a headband, as I've already touched on, but it can also be undone from its mount, carried in the pocket as well, which is super sweet. Really like that. We'll get to the gloves here in just a minute. That's kind of another thing, just like this category is a little bit of my own in my priority listing. The gloves, I kind of view that as a safety item as well. Let's see, let's dig in here. I've kept you all waiting. So this one right here is from White River, and I really, really like this blade. So this one has a flat grind on it, but it is pretty good at working wood as well. And this one right here, and I'm always bad with model names, is the FC4. So it is part of their Firecraft line, and you've got a ferro rod notch right back here as well as a sharpened 90-degree spine. But that ferro rod notch works really well with the supplied ferro rod, and I'll show you all my fire kit a little bit more later on. But right here, also just for safety and for not losing my tools, I put a little bit of brightly colored paracord onto all of my knives and major tools. And this one also has bright orange liners, which is really sweet too. But I've got the FC4 right here from White River Knives. Comes with a really good dangler, Kydex sheath, and then a ferro rod with the same kind of micarta handle right there. That one is a backup. Again, I'll cover my fire kit a little bit later on, but this is a really sweet knife. Works well in the woods, also works well for processing fish, which is awesome. Next up on tools, I've used one of these little open L saws for a very long time. Again, good 90-degree spine, so if you're scraping ferro rods or you're scraping barks off of trees, then you're able to do that. And this thing is a really good crafting saw, but also if I needed to cut down any branch that I'm really gonna be processing with a knife or working with a knife, this thing will do it. Like I said, I've had my personal one for years. This one, it came off the showroom floor just so that I could show you all, but really dig that saw. And then next up is a little bit of cordage. So in my cordage kit, I like to have paracord, and I do have more paracord scattered throughout my kit, but this is just kind of the excess, and I like this to be bright orange as well. So if I am tying the lanyards on, or if I'm leaving little markers or something like that, for whatever reason, then I've got it. Whether I'm doing like a nav course, or if I'm hunting and I want to see a little bit of wind direction, that's a really good thing to have in that color. Next up on cordage is nano cord, and I believe it's micro cord, and these are also from Atwood, and I've got a little bit more in a different part of my kit, which I'll show you all a little bit later. But I really like having a thin diameter cord. It's really good for whenever we're throwing out like a fish basket into the water and we're keeping those. I just prefer this. I've strung up catfish with this and all sorts of things. So that is a really good cordage. Next up in here, I have a little tin, and this one is pretty cool. It's got a little topo on there. Don't know if it's going to show up on that shot, but this is a really nice tin, so I can char different types of natural materials for fire making. I can put 100% cotton in here and char that for fire, or I can just do something simple and keep a little repair kit. So in here, I've just got some little candles, again, kind of fire-centric, but these can be used for repairs. And then I have some little spools of sewing thread. It's got a couple different colors, so that way if I'm wearing black or something and I'm out here, then I can use the gray, or if I'm wearing tan, then I can stitch up my tan and it won't look super goofy when I get back. A little bit of the micro cord right here, and that could be good for sewing up bigger items like a backpack. I keep a little Swiss Army knife cadet in here. I really like the scissors on these, and that little blade is super sharp. And two, you got a nail file. And then and I know these aren't even gonna show up, so I'm not gonna even try, but sewing needles, I keep about 4 or 5 different ones in here. So that way, if I'm sewing up thin fabric, I've got an option. And then just the same, if I am sewing up something big like this right here, a backpack, heaven forbid if it rips, then I can take care of that. Then next up, I keep a little bit of something to maintenance my knives, and this is the JRE. I forget the exact name of it. It is like an on-the-go type of strop, and this one is much like a barber's strop that you would see. So you would tether this off to a stick or a log or something in the ground, and then you would hold it on this way, and you'll strop your knife up and down. I actually did a little short video about this along with the White River Knives, and I'm sure I've probably put it somewhere up through here for you to take a look at. But that right there, as long as I have not totally abused my knife, then I'm going to be able to get that back to life with this strop right here. And lastly is a pair of gloves. So, you know, we're talking about super sharp tools, and if you are using your belt knife right here, then you kind of need something to keep your hands safe, especially whenever you're working with sharp sticks and things like that. I cannot count the times that I have not had my gloves on and had really close calls with a knife, or just like totally sliced my hand open on a stick. So this right here is another area of my kind of safety category, along with the tools that I like to carry. And the last tool that I have is the Leatherman Wave Plus right here. I absolutely love this configuration. I've carried one for, I want to say, since 2019. Again, this one is a brand new shiny one that is not all gunked up off of the REC floor, and it's got everything you can need. It's got your pliers, so if you are out here fishing and you need to take a hook out of a fish, it's got that. It's got your plain blade right here, and man, that one's a whole lot nicer than mine. I've put mine through the ringer over the years. It's really weird seeing a brand new one. But this right here, it's got a saw, and those are my main 3 blades that I use. But it also does have a little diamond file right here, so if your blade is really messed up, then you can maintenance it right there. Fish hooks, same deal, serrated blade. You can check it out on riversedgecutlery.com. It'll have all the tools listed, but I love my Leatherman Wave Plus. Whenever I'm not in the woods, or whenever I'm in the woods without this, I feel really, really naked. And then all of that is either contained on my belt or in just one of these little sticky cubes. That way it stays nice and organized. Let's go ahead, let's dive into one more part of tools and safety, and I promise you all it will go a little bit quicker from here. This is the biggest category out of my whole kit. So here's the final part as we round out tools and safety. So in this little pouch right here, I like to keep some sort of charging bank, and this one happens to be solar, which is fantastic. And actually, I'm gonna sit it right over here in the bright. That way it can start charging a little bit more. I always keep this right here. This is a USB-C cord, but I've got one of these little Apple lightning adapters, which is really cool. So I can charge USB-C and my iPhone. Then right here, I have the charger for my Olight. And then moving into the final part of tools and safety is all navigation related. So I keep Right in the Rain notepad, and that one is really good because if you do get this wet, it doesn't matter. Your notes are gonna be good to go. You cannot ruin this paper unless you burn it or rip it. And then I keep a couple of different writing instruments. So I've got the Right in the Rain pencil, which is really good, and this lead is super thick. You're not really gonna break it. And then I keep this mechanical pencil right here as well. And I really like these because they're a little bit finer. So if I'm marking on a map, then that's gonna be a little bit more of a fine point. And they do not react, because they're not metal, with my sighting compass right here. And I do recommend a sighting compass if you're gonna put one in your kit. These are really good for navigating over long distances. You've got a mirror right here for checking for ticks, or if you've got a scratch in a kind of a hard to see area, then you can get a little bit of an eye on it there. And then this one also has a little magnifying glass right here. So if you want to magnify something on a map or even start a solar fire, then you can with this compass. So that right there, that wraps up tools and safety. Let's go ahead, we'll move on to the next category. One of the most important parts of any outdoor kit, whether you plan on using it or not, is a fire kit. And this one right here is in one of the Vanquest sticky cubes, and it's just super simple. This right here contains everything that I could possibly need in any season to be able to start a fire out here in the outdoors. So to kick it off, I have an Exotac fire sleeve right here. We all know Bic lighters, they just work. I practice all the primitive fire methods, whether it's hand drill, bow drill, or even kind of a traditional type of fire making, which is flint and steel. But a Bic lighter, it works every time unless it's really, really windy or if it's wet. And that's where the Exotac fire sleeve comes in. These will totally keep moisture out of your lighter, which allows it to work. I went ahead, removed the child safety lock, and this thing is always good to go. I also went ahead and put a little bit of bright paracord on this, so that way if I lose it, I'm more likely to find it. Next up in my fire kit is a little bit more bright paracord, and this is just basically a utility line if I'm needing to string a nesting cup or a bush pot over a fire, then I've got that right there. Just always handy to have, not necessarily a fire related item, but it always makes it into my fire kit. Next up is a ferrocerium rod, and I like the bigger ones with a bit of a grip on it, and these shower a lot of sparks whenever you hit them with the striker over here. And these is you can get wet. So if there was water in front of me right now and I submerged this thing in there and then took my shirt and dried it off, it would throw sparks right away. A ferro rod is definitely my go-to, and then a Bic lighter, just because this is so versatile and I have so much experience with it. But as you can tell, I like to carry both. I also do modify my ferro rods, and I put a little bit of 1-inch Gorilla Tape right here, and I love the Gorilla Tape just because it is super sticky, and it is also very flammable if you ever learn that fire starting skill. So that is kind of a little fire starter in and of itself. Got a little bit of tinder and fire extender right here, and then you've got your sparks to be able to ignite whatever tinder material you were trying to catch. And speaking of tinder material, these are Uncle Tommy's little fire starters, and they're little makeup removal pads that have been soaked in an accelerant, and then there is some sort of wax around them. So again, as you can tell, waterproofing your fire kit is a must. So the Exotac fire sleeve, it's waterproof. This right here is impervious to moisture as long as you dry it off. And then these right here, they are pretty water resistant as well. And all you do with these is you take one, you rip it apart, and all of the cotton-like fibers are going to show, and then you just kind of rub it back and forth, and then you hit it with your ferro rod or an open flame from your lighter, and it's good to go. And also the little tin right here is not only good for keeping moisture out and keeping these contained from the rest of your kit, but you can throw this in a campfire and you can make char cloth in this. So that is another great method whenever you are talking about your fire kit, is to make char cloth out of 100% cotton, and then from there it will accept a spark from a ferro rod, flint and steel, all the things, and you would then put that into a bird's nest. But that's a whole nother video. Maybe we'll do one on fire starting at some point. But this right here, this is my baseline kit as far as a fire kit for my day packs and even overnighters. It doesn't change too much with winter. I may add a little bit of extra tinder in there in the winter months, but this right here is pretty much all the fire kit that you could ever need. Another very important part of our day kit and branching into overnights is some way of carrying and purifying your water. So I go with just the time-tested and trusted nesting cup and metal bottle. This one I have had for, man, I would say probably 6 years. I boiled in this thing more times than I can count over open flames. So let's just go ahead and start with the nesting cup. This also has a lid to keep debris out whenever you are boiling. I just have it over there in my bag and didn't pull it out. But this right here is how I like to carry my water bottle set up. I like the nesting cup down here, and then right here I've got my water bottle. And the water bottle is also metal, so it's not just a throwaway plastic or even just like one of those nicer plastics. This allows me to boil in this as well. This right here is definitely where I would start if I were you and you're just putting together a day pack and you're looking for something to suit your water needs. You can obviously bring along things like Gatorade as an electrolyte replacement, and that's fantastic. Just know that this is gonna run out, and this bottle, you're gonna just have to tote it around. You can also bring things like Liquid IV, which is a fantastic option, and they only take up a little bit of space, and they're just a little bit of a packet that you can pour into your water, which is really nice. As far as other water treatment options, you can look into all sorts of different purifiers and filters, but to get you started, this is where I would start right here. It's time tested. You're never gonna have to replace this thing, and it's gonna make your water totally safe to drink. Back here in the water bladder sleeve of the IBEX-26, I keep a reusable survival blanket right here. So I typically set this up as a tarp, and that's my preferred way of using it. And I also picked it to be blaze orange. If I'm using this thing, it's most likely an emergency. So blaze orange will allow me to be seen. I'm not trying to be out here being a ninja or anything like that. So I chose blaze orange, and that kind of goes back to the signaling and safety part of the kit mentality. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you all what is inside. As far as my shelter kit, I keep 4 tent stakes right here. And I just prefer the big plastic ones right here. And then I keep a little bit more of that Atwood micro cord right here. And this one is in blaze orange as well. And then I keep a 55-gallon drum liner right here, and these are fantastic for a lot of things. Even at their simplest, you can just cut a hole in the top of them and on the sides and use this as a makeshift poncho. You can use this as a pack cover. And then kind of more labor intensive, you can gather up all the leaves from this area, stuff it, and you've got yourself a mattress. And then I keep a ridgeline, again, blaze orange, on the cordage, and I keep about 30 foot of this for a ridgeline, and then I already have some Prusik loops tied right there for stringing this up. And then here is the survival blanket itself. This one, again, is blaze orange for signaling, not trying to be out here being a ninja. And then on the reverse side is this reflective material. And this stuff is fantastic, especially in the winter months. If you build a fire out in front of your shelter, then this right here is gonna reflect that heat back, and it feels fantastic. I've slept under these many a night. All right, so there we have it. That is a quick down and dirty shelter setup with this little shelter kit that I carry. So what I would personally do if I was gonna sleep under this, I would put my back right up against this ridgeline, and I would do one full step. I would build a long fire or just some sort of fire right here. And what that's gonna do is it's going to reflect all that heat right up here, and it's gonna kick it right back down on you. But just the same, if we are in a warmer season, then that's not really necessary. This would just be here for rain and to keep the rain off of you. But this is a fantastic shelter. I've slept under many of these emergency survival blankets, and they've kept me alive. They're really good, and that is just something super simple that you can carry in your pack that'll help you out. All right, so assuming that you are not providing for yourself off of the land like we are today, then you're gonna wanna pack a couple of simple things in your bag. Let me show you some ideas to get you started. All right, if you're gonna be out for just a short period of time, I would recommend some simple trail snacks like some beef jerky or a trail mix, things along those lines. Pack what you like to eat and make sure that it will not melt or need to be refrigerated. That's kind of the one thing wrapped around food that I would recommend. And then if you're gonna be out past your meal time, so lunchtime, dinner time, anything like that, go ahead and pack a little bit more of a substantial meal. I personally like just these dehydrated meals like this. Mountain House is really good, and you can use your nesting cup, which we discussed in the water section, to bring some water to a boil, pour it in here, let it rehydrate, and wait the recommended amount of time, and you'll be good to go and eat. So again, I'm not going to make any real recommendations on the food side. You know what you like to eat, pack that along with you, don't overcomplicate it. But I do have one other cool thing for the food related stuff. Let's go ahead and let's check that out right now. So I could have covered this part under the tools section, but I really wanted to save something awesome for the end of this video, and this thing really is awesome. This is the Open L picnic set. So I really like this. On the outside, holding it all together, we've got this kind of microfiber-ish napkin here with a bungee cord. So let's go ahead, open it up, and that will show the full picnic set. So we've got the Open L number 8, which is already a time-tested knife. I absolutely love these. I've used them for years. And over on the left side, you've got a fork and you've got a spoon right there. Let's go ahead. We'll grab the fork and I'll show you all how this works. We'll go ahead and unlock the barrel lock right here on the Open L, and you simply put the fork attachment down in there or the spoon, and it is ready to rock and roll. So this way, instead of a spork, you have an already functional knife, and then you have the fork and the spoon attachments as well, which is really fantastic. This is definitely something that I'm gonna keep in my personal kit, and if you dig the looks of it, definitely head over and check these out on our website. I think this is just one of the coolest things. All right, everyone, so there we have it. That is what to put in your day pack for your next adventure. As long as we're covering those 5 different categories, then you are sure to be taken care of while you're here in the outdoors. Let's go ahead, we'll do a recap of those 5 categories right now. Tools and safety, fire, water, shelter, and food. If you're missing any items or you have some questions, definitely head over to riversedgecutlery.com. We would be more than happy to help you out and give you some advice on what to put into your day pack. But in the meantime, go ahead, plan that next trip, get outdoors and enjoy these beautiful places, because this is what it's all about. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2, checking for snakes, checking for snakes. Welcome back to River's Edge Cutlery, everyone. Ouch. Goodness, got all messed up. That one was way better. Snake check down by the water.